The Show Me Arts Academy, changing lives in St. Louis. That's next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. The Show Me Arts Academy is a non-for-profit that basically uses the arts to make our community a better place. We're going to talk more about that. To my immediate right, please welcome Marty Casey. She's the founder, and Judy Mann is the head of the theater department there. Is that the right way to put it, Judy?
That's correct.
Department, theater department. Welcome to the program, both of you.
Thanks for having us, Steve. We appreciate it.
This is really a fascinating story, Marty. And before we talk about how the Show Me Academy was formed and some of the things that you do, generally, who are your students?
The city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Our program is unique because we're mobile. So we have an opportunity to go wherever we need to go in the city to service.
And are they kids of a certain age? Or?
Yes, age 5 to 18.
5 to 18.
Yes,
and Judy, you're in charge of the theater's portion of the program. Just briefly, tell me all the things that you do. There's theater and what else?
Well, we offer theater, we offer dance, poetry, music, voice music, choir music, choral music, also visual arts for the people who like to draw and paint. We also have a wonderful DJ who teaches music production and broadcast DJing, as well as poetry, hip-hop, spoken word. So in the theater department, we get the students to explore the possibilities of everything that theater can be. It teaches them empathy, it teaches them cross-cultural understanding, makes them a little more open to one another.
Mm-hmm. And Marty, this is a non-for-profit.
Yes.
And a really important part of it, I think, is that the kids don't pay anything for this.
That is correct. We are a free program. We are applying for our 501c3 right now, so it hasn't been completely approved. And that I want to put that out there because we have completely been doing this for free for over a year now.
Wow. Okay, now there's something really exciting, and I want to get more into it later, but I just want to tease a little bit with it, and that's this Peace Train project, which is pretty new.
Yes, yes. We have teamed up with a group out of South Africa. 20 years ago, this group, when Voices Meet, did the Peace Train in South Africa during the apartheid. And Nelson Mandela, after he was released, called on them specifically to travel all throughout the country, singing with 500 voices of children, if you can imagine, across races, so black, white, colored. And during that time, that was the whole mission of apartheid, is that you could not cross those barriers. And so they did this bravely and just totally changed the mission in South Africa. And we have teamed up with them because they had a documentary that played in the film festivals.
St. Louis International Film Festival.
Yes, St. Louis International Film Festival. Actually, the same time, Steve, that Four-Way Stop, I guess you'll mention that, also played in the film festival. So I had an opportunity to meet them personally, and I was blown away. I said, because of the unrest that we have experienced here in St. Louis, Ferguson specifically, and across country, we need this. Mm-hmm. And what can we do? So we began to meet for months and have phone meetings, and eventually I invited them to St. Louis so that they could meet my St. Louis team and staff with Show Me Arts Academy and others. And we are about to do something very, very special in the city. So we are looking for 100 voices across country, and we will be auditioning here in St. Louis. And the ages will be 12 to 18. They must be able to sing and dance, but the auditions will be held at Matthews Dickey Boys and Girls Club, and that's March 26th from 9 to 4 p.m. But ultimately, one of the things I really want to mention, that it's important for them to be world ambassadors. So singing and dancing is truly, important, but not as important as being a world ambassador.
So this train's going to go across the country and stop and spread, I guess, the message of joy and compassion. And how would you put it, Judy?
I would call it Peace Train redo. In as much as Peace Train helped to begin to mend the country when Mandela was finally released after 27 years of captivity for fighting for the rights of all people, we want to see the same thing happen. We want to see these children go across the country and mend the hearts and mend the actual country itself, because we're so divided right now and we're so fractured right now. And literally out of the mouths of babes comes all of our future and our hope. And I think that these children will spread the message better than anything else can.
And the mission of the Peace Train is sort of a reflection of what you're doing here in St. Louis with the Academy, isn't it?
Exactly. That's why I felt like we would be a perfect match. And so far we have been. We're excited about it. 10 cities. We're starting in St. Louis, and that's so exciting within itself. So this is a partnership, and we're starting in St. Louis, going on to Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Albany, New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, and we're ending in D.C. We've even invited the first family to meet us at the train, and we hope that comes to fruition. We haven't gotten confirmation on it yet, but we've been making a lot of phone calls.
You probably won't know till the last minute on that.
Probably will
That's
not
how they
know.
work, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're ending. This is also special. Nelson Mandela's birthday is July 18th, and that's the day that we end in a celebration in D.C.
Okay, later in the program I want to talk more about that, and I know funding is an issue for you on this, and there's some more details that we'll discuss. So let's talk about the Show Me Arts Academy more specifically, and it all goes back, and what a dramatic story. It all goes back to like 2014, I got my dates right, correct? And the shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson and all the unrest that happened after that. But the genesis for the Show Me Academy really goes back almost to that day, the day Michael Brown was shot, or just days after. What's the backstory there?
Well, Steve, like everyone else, I'm sure, when I heard about what happened in the city, and I live in Florissant, so just literally 10 minutes away from where the actual shooting happened. As a mother, I was devastated. I didn't know all of the details, and to me, to this day, that doesn't matter. We lost a child. And I just took it in so personally. I was tuning in to the television, 2, 4, 5, 30, 11. I mean, just anybody that was talking about it. I could not get any sleep. I took time to participate in the protest and the marching. And honestly, it angered me. Every day I was on the ground, I just began to become more and more angry. And I know that's not who I am. That's not the core of Marty. And I removed myself and I said, okay, I can't handle it like this. What can I do in a positive manner to move us forward? What do I feel the situation is, and how can I help? I felt like the situation was that we had nothing to offer these children in their communities, nothing that they could walk, nowhere where they could walk to. If it's not accessible, and even if it is accessible, is it free? So I question, are we doing all that we could do? And so as an artist, all that I could think of is start an academy. And how am I going to do this with no money? So I called on my friends and I said, hey, this is the idea. Can you help me? They said yes. And that's exactly what's happening.
You say your friend because you both acted together before.
Yes.
And you were actually both in a production of Menopause, the musical?
Yes. Yes. And we're still laughing about
And
that.
is that the one that ran for a long time out in Westport or something?
Quite some time.
Yeah.
We actually hold the record for longest running show in St. Louis.
How long did that run?
15 months. 15 months straight.
So you were together in that show. You became close during that run, I guess, right?
Yes, I actually was familiar with Judy from some other productions or what have you, but we had never had an opportunity to share the stage.
Judy, I'm curious. Marty talked about her reaction to the Ferguson unrest, being someone that lived in the area and felt related to the situation because of her proximity. You're not from St. Louis originally, I know. I was wondering how that whole Ferguson incident affected you. As you were more of a bystander than Marty was.
Definitely. I'm from Florida, and I do remember, I'm old enough, unfortunately, to remember the race riots in Miami, and I went to one of the first integrated schools, and I was a minority at that school, which I learned quite a bit about with the cross-cultural access to folks that I had never had a chance to meet with or socialize with. So when this happened, I, like Marty, felt it as a mother, as a child, somebody's son, somebody's brother. And I felt especially helpless being Caucasian. I thought, this is my fight too, but how do I do it and remain authentic and not be condescending? How do we bring the warring factions back together again? And when Marty said, we have to offer these children something else. We have to offer them an opportunity to make friends, to build community, to have a future. And if we offer them the arts, they'll have a place to go to rap, to record music, to dance, to sing, to find other like-minded individuals. And hopefully that will focus them in a direction of bettering themselves as well, at the same time as bettering their city.
And Marty, part of the reason you were so drawn to this issue was your own childhood. You didn't have, pardon me for saying this, maybe you didn't have the picture-perfect childhood, right?
No, I didn't. There was a time I probably would not have been open to talk about that, but, you know, one thing about our stories and our lives, our experiences are really not for us, it's for others. And so I say openly that I came from a family of dysfunction. My father was an alcoholic, unfortunately. And I saw a lot of physical abuse in my family, and so just that being embedded in me, I could recognize some of the levels of anger in children. I see it before they even explode.
So you kind of knew what it felt like, maybe to feel like you don't have options,
Yes.
or advantages.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. And I moved and lived all around the city of St. Louis. By the time I made it to the 9th grade, I'd already attended 10 different schools in the city. So I know what that's like, being in a community.
10 different schools?
10. Absolutely.
What was the reason for that?
The dysfunction in the family.
Not having a permanent place to live and that sort of thing.
Yes. So music saved me.
So you really related to maybe the little you knew about Michael Brown, just being raised in a challenging environment with not a lot of advantages, and money being a factor.
Yes, absolutely.
Lack of money being a factor.
And I had love, plenty of love. I will say that. You know, my mother did an awesome job raising 2 children by herself. But again, when the focus is making sure that you have your basic needs being met, some of those other things go without.
So Judy, when Marty talked to you first about the idea for the Show Me Arts Academy, did you think it was a great idea right from the beginning?
Yes, I absolutely did, because I had been wringing my hands and shaking my head and saying, what do we do? What do we do, St. Louis? I'm not from here, so I'm looked at really as a foreigner. I've been here 30 years.
Right, you
and
didn't
I'm
go to high
still
school
looked
here.
at, I did
Right.
not, as an outsider, and I thought, okay, let's just put all of that aside and look at what my city is enduring right now. What can I do as a suburban Caucasian woman to bridge the gap? And my friend Marty, who is much closer to the actual situation that can inform our journey, she made it clear that this was a journey for everyone.
Right. And Marty, how important is it to have people with all kinds of background on that journey? Some white lady from suburbia, how important is that?
You can't win unless diversity is in it. I'm just going to say that I am a firm believer that as diverse as you can possibly be with a team of people. That's what we're up against in our world right now. We cannot continue to separate and, be cliquish and choose only a certain group. And I just don't believe in that. I have made it as far as I have because of being diverse and open.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more specifically about the Show Me Arts Academy and what you're doing there, which is so exciting. We'll talk more about the Peace Train, too. So we'll be back with more of City Corner right after this.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Experience St. Louis.
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. Today we are showcasing the Show Me Arts Academy with Marty Casey, the founder, and Judy Mann, the head of the theater department there. And just to recap, it is a nonprofit, a relatively new nonprofit that gives kids of a certain age the ability to explore arts, performance arts, music, theater, and other sorts of things, all at no cost to them, as a way to enrich the community and make them better citizens. These are my words, but.
Absolutely. I like to look at it as exposure, just planting some seeds. We may not have an opportunity to work with them long enough to see it sprout and grow into a wonderful flower, but we do know that we've given them those basics and that exposure, which is important.
And at this point, Judy, you don't have a Show Me Arts Academy building where people go to. You kind of go out into the community where there's a need or a desire for you to do something.
That is true. We've been asked by many organizations to come in and teach their children, and we've been very fortunate thus far. We've worked with Matthews Dickey, Adams Boys and Girls Club, Tandy Rec, Delwood Recreation Center, and we have, like Marty said, sown the seeds. We would like to eventually, of course, have our own home so that we can track these kids, all through their learning process and really shape some working artists.
Mm-hmm. And I might just say now, these days, in so many schools, I would think particularly in more struggling systems, the arts are not high priority. So what you're providing, this may be their first really exposure to that sort of thing, right?
Absolutely. I just want to share this real quick. We just ended a program at, Adams Park Boys and Girls Club. And the director called me yesterday to say thank you. And he said, Marty, on the playground yesterday, there were 4 children in a huddle singing Michael Jackson, and all of the other children gathered around. And this was a song that our music director actually taught them. So they did an old school doo-wop type of thing on the playground. And it was a direct effect of what we had just, given them through Show Me Arts Academy.
Wow. We have some images of you guys in action, or the kids in action, that we're going to share with our audience now. And if you would just take a look and comment on them.
That's our
Dickey.
Matthews Dickey group, and they are recording their voices for a McDonald's commercial.
Yes. Those young ladies, and actually one of the young men, he was from Delwood.
Yes, and that is our DJ, DJ Dwayne Upchurch, who is wonderful with the kids. The children absolutely adore him. He inspires everyone to get up and spin the records and produce music, and he's calm and cool, and he's a beautiful role model for
Am I too old to take that class?
No.
No, you're not.
No, come on. I was joking.
No, I want to take that class,
Yes,
too.
And you happen to know a lot about that fella, too, right? You're related to him.
I am. That's my cousin. Yes, absolutely. You can just see how wonderful he is with the children.
He's very hands-on, and he lets them be hands-on, which really excites them because they get to touch the equipment and put on the headphones and actually record their voices. Very empowering for them.
Huh.
This is from Delwood Recreation Center, where we had a summer program. This young man in the front was one of our little dancing stars and had an accident. You can see he's got a little boot at the bottom of his foot. He had to get up and dance. Not only did he dance, he led the rest of the group because he just loved it so much.
Boot or no boot, huh?
Yeah, I have to. Well, that's okay. We moved on. This is also Delwood. No, this is
Adams.
This is Adams. Yeah, Boys and Girls Club.
This is our art drawing class. I believe that's the first time those kids were that still and quiet all day.
No kidding.
Sitting in there. This is some of our youngsters in our dance class with our dance instructor, Laura Ackerman. She is a Broadway veteran, and she choreographs quite a bit throughout the city at high schools and middle schools. She's a regular at the Muni on stage. She's our dance instructor, and the kids just eat her up.
And that young man actually grew up just blocks from where it happened with Mike Brown.
No kidding.
Yeah.
This is
near
Maru.
Caulfield Drive. Yeah.
He's our poetry hip hop instructor.
Who's
He's
that? I'm sorry?
Maru. He is the poetry hip hop instructor, and he is one of the prominent members of Three Kings recording rap hip hop artists. And the kids really, really respond to him. They really they sort of flock around him anytime he comes into the building.
And we can move on.
And there he
That's
is.
Maru at his best.
That's the spirit of Maru.
Yes, so
joyful.
what's that behind him? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a gumball machine.
Gumball machine.
We didn't have the ideal space to work in, but we made it work.
No, I like it. It works. Works for me.
This is the mirror exercise that I do in acting class.
What's that?
My students look into the mirror and say, when I look into a mirror, I see. And first they start with physical things, and then they begin to talk about personality
How
things.
interesting.
It's very revealing.
I bet you've learned some interesting things, or they've learned interesting things about themselves.
Indeed. This is also at Dellwood. We had a little bit of a commencement performance, and these are some of our young DJs speaking on mic to a group for the very first time. Look at that confidence.
Calling out their DJ names, as a matter of fact.
This was a piece of art that we dedicated and donated to Dellwood Rec Center for being such lovely hosts to our program, and they were so grateful. I believe it's hanging up there even today.
That's nice.
More of our young writers at work, writing poetry, writing from their own personal experiences.
There he is
That's a
again.
repeated
And Maru-
picture there.
More of the gumball machine.
Yeah.
Hey, we've mentioned several of your staff. Maybe, I think, are there about eight?
We
Eight
do-
staff members?
We have 6 core classes, which is theater, visual art, music, DJ engineering, poetry, and visual art. I believe those are our 6 core. But we just add modeling, and we're going to add comedy.
No kidding. Well, tell me about, you're a not-for-profit, so I'm assuming these staff people are not compensated for this?
Well, we do operate off of grants. We've had a grant to come through Regional Arts Commission, and we've also had a grant to come through Solomon. Oh goodness, so I can't call their name right now. That's so unfortunate because of those grants, it gives us an opportunity to give stipends to our instructors.
Well, that's good. I'm sure they're not making a fortune, though.
No.
So each one of them must have their own reasons for wanting to do this, right?
Yes.
Absolutely, I believe so, yes. Our music director, Nancy, she's got a daughter who she brings to the program to sort of share what she's doing, but she has those kids doing the Michael Jackson doo-wop, singing in a group, and she has those kids singing out where they weren't even willing to open their mouths at the beginning.
I want to go back in time a little bit. I think I mentioned this, but we really didn't get into it. So the whole idea for the Arts Academy started with your reaction to the shooting death of Michael Brown and the unrest that happened in Ferguson. And it was just days after the Michael Brown shooting that you were addressing the Regional Arts Commission for some reason. And that's kind of where it all just days after the shooting. What happened?
Ed Reggie is a local artist.
I know Ed, improv guy.
Yes, he's awesome, and he's like a mentor to me. And he called and he said, Marty, if no one else makes it today, no one else is able to come into the room, I need your voice. I need you to come and speak about how you feel, because by him being my friend, he called me immediately when everything happened and asked, is everything okay, and is there anything I think he could do? And so he put all the artists together, and we gathered at the Regional Arts Commission. And again, as I explained, I didn't even realize just how much anger had even built up in me. It was a recall of what I personally had been going through.
And if you remember, this was on TV 24/7 at the time, so you'd probably just been glued to your TV.
I had been glued. And so when it was my opportunity to speak, it just flooded out, and I literally just somewhat screamed, and I was like, you don't know what these children are feeling unless you have been through what they're going through. Don't judge them. Help them. And so I basically told them then my mission, my idea is to put together an academy, and I need artists to help. And everyone was just like, what do you need from me? How can I help? What can I do? And it started off, well, but not everyone stepped up to the plate to carry it out. So when I sit here today with my friend, Judy Mann, and I think of Laura Ackerman and my cousin, DJ Church, and, someone I attended high school with doing music, Nancy Collier, and one of my best friends from 2 and 3 years old. She's a social worker, Gail Abram, who is behind the scenes really making everything happen and work for Show Me Arts Academy. She's a social worker in the St. Louis Public Schools. So to have that to be a part of Show Me Arts Academy, and then my friend Lillian, who does the modeling now. These are people that I have called on that I have had an opportunity to work with, and for them to not only say yes, but be dedicated to see this all the way through. We rolled out, our very first session was at Tandy Park, February 28th, and it was the largest snow day, the biggest snow day in the city. I mean, all days that we could have picked, that was the worst weather day that we had, but it didn't stop us. It didn't stop the children.
Yeah. You mentioned the movie Four-Way Stop in the beginning. I just want to spend a minute on that since you brought it up. I want to follow up on that. That's how you and I know one another.
Yes.
Four-Way Stop was a movie by Effie De Silva, who was from St. Louis, lives in New York, came back to film this a couple of years ago. And it was filmed just like a month before Ferguson happened.
Yes.
And strangely, although it's not about that, it's not about Michael Brown, but a lot of the plots and the themes really just serendipity, they just connect, don't they?
Absolutely.
And you had a major part in that film. You played the lead character's mom.
Terry.
And I had a small part in the film too. And
Played a big part, a small role, but a big part to what the story's about.
I'm glad you, but isn't that odd how things kind of tie together like that?
It really is, and I think that that's one of the reasons that our movie is doing so well in the film festivals. I actually just came back from L.A. where we had 2 screenings there, and it was awesome.
We're just about out of time, but I just want to remind people again about the Peace Train. Auditions are coming up when again? What are the details?
The Peace Train is coming up. The train itself is taken off in St. Louis July 4th through July 18th, doing a 10-city tour. But the auditions is first. We really need every child to come out from age 12 to 18 who can sing and dance and a Good World ambassador.
And they can take this train ride with you across the country and meet people at different stops and sing about having a better world and a better life together, right?
Peace,
Indeed.
love, and unity.
Yeah. Well, although the Academy hadn't been around for that long, what kind of just concrete results have you seen from the kids? Why do you think it's working?
It's working when you have a child come up to you and say, my mother died last year and I need to be motivated and this motivates me.
Marty Casey, we hope people will take a look at your ways to connect with you on your website and stuff in just a second. We want to thank you so much. And Judy Mann, thank you. Show Me Arts Academy. I'm Steve Potter. That's all we have for this edition of City Corner. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.